The reason the Houthis attacked Abu Dhabi airport is because there has been a change in UAE policy in Yemen from one of actively avoiding clashes with the Houthis to one of actively targeting the Houthis. Whereas the UAE before actively avoided clashing with the Houthis and advocated splitting Yemen between north and south and actively sought to expand its influence in the south, expanding its control of the ports, expanding its control of the island of Socotra, building up its separatist allies and their military capabilities in preparation for splitting Yemen between north and south, the UAE has changed its policy and begun to actively target the Houthis in Ma'rib, the oil-rich province, which the Houthis are desperately keen to take in order to strengthen their position at any negotiating table, or indeed to assert their dominance as a hegemon power in Yemen, and have also targeted the Houthis in other areas. And this is why the Houthis 2 weeks ago seized the ship belonging to the UAE as a threat to the UAE to tell them, go back to your policy of avoiding clashing with us. And it's the reason why they've attacked Abu Dhabi airport on UAE territory, in order to say to the UAE that you will pay a heavy price if you don't go back to your policy of avoiding clashing with us. And this brings us to the more important question. Why does it appear that UAE policy on Yemen has changed? Why have the UAE gone from actively avoiding the Houthis to actively targeting them? Why have the UAE compromised their domestic stability by targeting the Houthis? The first theory is that this is about strengthening ties with Saudi Arabia that have perhaps been strained in recent times as a result of differences over Qatar, Turkey, oil price, economic diversification and competition. But the problem with this theory is that when it comes to Yemen, the two appear to be perfectly on song. And when the UAE has sought to change the internationally recognized government and governors, Saudi has duly complied without kicking up a fuss. The second theory is that the US, which has been astounded at the Houthi stubbornness and refusal to come to the negotiating table, has asked the Arab coalition to bomb the Houthis to the negotiating table. And we've seen an increase in airstrikes, suggesting that the US no longer has a problem with these strikes, given that the Houthis are stubbornly refusing to come to the negotiating table. The third theory is that the UAE believes that the time is right now to split Yemen between north and south, and it needs the negotiation process to begin. And therefore it's embarking on adding its military weight to force the Houthis to the negotiating table, whereby Yemen will be split between north and south, and UAE can reap the rewards of having supported the separatist movement and entrench its control of the ports in southern Yemen, going past the Bab el-Mandeb to the Red Sea.